Hi there, and welcome to SpeedStats, where we take the shortest path from data to discovery. The challenge today is using the SAT year by dataset and doing analyses and graphing using no scripts, no saved analyses, with all steps spoken and with no pausing. So this will be one take from start to finish. And for this challenge, I'm going to see how quickly we can do the following. So we're going to do several graphs, so box plots, SAT verbal by region, and SAT math by region, so a double plot. Another version of that, SAT verbal by region and SAT math by region with a split plot. So you see how those differ. Also a box plot with SAT total by region, SAT total by region paneled by year. Another box plot with SAT total by year paneled by region. So the switch of this one with the paneling variable. We want a map with SAT total, so coloring the states by their SAT total. Map SAT total paneled by year. Scatterplot matrix with shaded ellipses. We want a parallel plot using the principal variables, so we'll see what those are, by 5 clusters. So this refers to a cluster analysis we'll do under analyses, and also a map with the states colored by clusters. All right, so for the analyses, we want SAT total by expenditure, by faculty ratio, by salary, by percent taking, and by expenditure and percent taking with a bilinear interaction. So this will be a multiple regression. And I want all of these analyses for every year, so we have 8 years in this data set, and averaged over all the years. Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times 2, 10 analyses we'll do there. And we also want a cluster analysis with the principal variables, so these up here, including SAT total, and we want that averaged across all the years. All right, so in addition to all this, we want some tables out of this. We want mean SAT total by region, by year, by region and year, so nested. We want all the parameter estimates from the 10 analyses here, slopes only, and we want pairwise correlation between all principal variables averaged over all the years. All right, so we're going to start. So ready, set, go. All right, so I'm going to open up the DAT file with Jump, and we can just right click and go open with, and Jump will process that as data. Looking at this data set, it looks like we have 8 rows for each state, and that's because we have 8 different years over which we're iterating. Okay, so let's look at our outputs. Let's start with all the graphs, since we can use the whole data set for this. I'm just going to move some things around to make this a little easier. Let's start with Graph Builder. So this will allow us to do all of these analyses and graphs, or all these graphs rather. Box plots, SAT verbal by region and SAT math by region, double plot. All right, so if we want these on the same plot, I'm going to put region here as the X. I'll take verbal and math, put them as the Y, and let's put on the box plots, and then now we have a double plot. So save this guy. I'll put this down below. Let me do another graph builder here. So we want SAT verbal and region, so same thing with verbal and math, split plot. All right, so if we want a split plot, I'll put region here. I'll take verbal, put it in the Y first, take math, put it right above in the section, so this is a drop zone, and let's turn on box plots for both. All right, done with that one. Let's put that below. Box plot SAT total by region. So this is everyone. And so let's go back to graph builder. We're going to be doing region, and we need SAT total, so we can actually just take verbal and math, right click, combine, make a sum. This will make a temporary variable. I'm going to add that to the data table because it looks like we're going to need it. I'll put that into Y and make this a box plot. All right, done with that one. We need a box plot SAT total by region paneled by year. All right, so let's do this again. We'll do region in X. Let's do SAT total, which we made, and we want to panel that by year. And so year in this data set right now is continuous. Let's right click, make this nominal, put that as a wrapping variable. We've paneled by year, turn on box plots. All right, done with that one. We need SAT total by year paneled by region. So that's the same thing as this plot, but we're going to switch these. So actually, let me pull up a new graph builder. Let me recall what I had before, and let's put SAT total in here. Let's put region actually in as our X. Here we go, turn the box plots on. This was our original variable setup. So let me right click the year, go to swap, and swap that with region. So now we flipped around the variables here. All right, so done with that one. Let's keep going. So we have a map now, SAT total. So for this, we're also going to use graph builder. So I'll take state, put that as a map shape, take SAT total, put that in as my coloring variable. And there we go. Now we have a map for the United States with SAT total. Done. Okay, we're going to do another one here, map SAT total paneled by year. So a map that way. So let's do map states. Let's do SAT total, put that in the center. Let's take year, put it as a wrap, paneled by year. Done. All right, so we need a scatterplot matrix with shaded ellipses. And so to do this, we're going to actually have to aggregate our data. So we'll come back to this in a second. Let me put a little star here because we'll have to do that. The parallel plot, we're going to have to wait until we do the cluster analysis. And then the maps, we'll have to wait till we do the clusters as well. So we'll come back to those ones. All right, so analyses, SAT total by all these variables. And we want this for each year and averaged over all the years. Well, let's first start with for each year, since we can do that with this unaggregated data set. And so to do these simple regressions, I'll use fit y by x. We're going to be predicting for each of these SAT total on the basis of, in this case, expenditures, student-faculty ratio, salary, and percent taking in 2004. Those will all be as the x. If we were to click OK, we would get the analysis over all the data, but we want to actually break this apart by year. So I'm going to stick that in as a by variable. Jump will produce the scatter plots for each of these. I'm going to hold down Command, click the triangle, and go to fit line. This will fit a line for every single one of these analyses. And so now we actually have all those analyses all at once. I'll even minimize this so you can see we have lines for everyone. For this actual output, though, we're going to eventually want all parameter estimates from the regressions, so slopes only. So let's actually go back in. Let me hold down Command, expand the sections. Our parameter estimates are right here. I can right-click anyone, make a data table out of it, but I can also right-click any of these and make a combined data table. So this will pop out all of the regression coefficients we just saw. I'm going to take this bivariate output, put it below. Notice that we want only slopes in the table that we finish with. I have a bunch of intercepts. So I'm going to right-click intercept, do select matching cells, right-click the rows, and delete those rows. Great. Now we have for every single year those regressions predicting SAT total on the basis of our principal variables, broken apart by term with the p-values and our statistics. Great. Done with that table. So done there. We also need these analyses over all the different years. And so we're going to have to do something with this data set since we have 8 years in the data. So if we were to just use fit y by x and not have a by variable, these analyses really aren't correct. So what we're going to do is actually aggregate. So I'm going to use analyze tabulate. The variables we need are expenditures, student-faculty ratio, salary, proportion taking, and SAT total. I'm going to drop those in the drop zone for columns, change the summary statistic to be a mean, take state, put that in as my row variable. Now I have essentially an aggregated data set taking the mean over all the years. I'll go to make into data table to make a proper data table out of this. Now we can go back to fit y by x, recall, or actually just use new variables. Let's put these in as our factors, predicting SAT total. We don't need a by variable here because we're predicting over the average set. So these are average points now over all the years for each state. I'll hold down Command, fit a line here again so we can do the regressions. Like we did before, I'll right-click, make a combined data table, which will make us that data table. I'll right-click the intercept, select matching cells, and I can delete those rows. So now we have a consolidated table with just the parameter estimates for the slopes. Cool. Let me keep that output too down below. We'll use this aggregated data set in a second. Let's see where we are. So we need some tables here, and we need to do the cluster analysis. Since the cluster analysis is based on the average over all years, let's do it here. So that's going to go analyze. We'll go to multivariate methods, cluster. Let's cluster on the basis of those variables, right? Let's put them in here. We said we wanted to do 5 clusters. It says that over here. So let me just color these clusters so we can see. Right now, our clustering is set to be 5. There we go. And so with 5 clusters, I can do parallel coordinate plots directly from here. Right? That's what we wanted, parallel plot with our principal variables on 5 clusters. Great, I could do it that way, or just to show you, I could also save the clusters, go into Graph Builder, and we're going to be able to use these clusters for that map. So I'll do map shape here, and I'll color by clusters. So put it there, and there we go. So this is our map colored by the different clusters. And so that gets this one, and we got the parallel coordinate plot for the 5 variables directly from the cluster platform. And so we've done everything here except for now the tables. So we need mean SAT total by region, region and year. We already got all the parameter estimates. We still need the pairwise correlations between variables. So let's do these tables. To do this, we're actually going to use the same platform we did to make the aggregation. So I'll use tabulate. If we want SAT total averaged over year, let's take SAT total, put that into the drop zone for columns. I'll change the statistic to be the average, and we want this over regions. I'll put that in here. So we have the mean there, and we also want it over years. So I'm going to do the little drop zone below the table. And so there we go, region and year. And we also wanted the nested, region and year. So I'll do region there and drag year to the left, And there we go, nested with region and year. And so that's a table that we can keep. All right, so done with that one. We need the pairwise correlations between all principal variables averaged over years. All right, we have an average section here of the data set. So I'm going to do multivariate methods, multivariate. Take the principal variables, put them in. There we go. Pairwise correlations are up here. I want those in a slightly better table. So I'll do pairwise correlations from the triangle. And here we go. I'll even right click this, make this a combined data table. So now we actually have a data set with those correlations. Okay, done with that one. We also wanted a scatterplot matrix with shaded ellipses. Now you can see I could have done that directly from multivariate. So right in here, the scatterplot matrix, I can do shaded ellipses. So that would work. But I actually prefer the scatterplot matrix. So I'll put all of these variables in the Y because the scatterplot matrix does this nice, it has the lower triangle. So we don't have to see all the redundant cells. All right, so done with that one. And so in 10 minutes, we've been able to produce scatterplot, our table, we have a tabulation, cluster analysis, parallel coordinate plots. We have regressions on the aggregated data with their parameter estimates. We have the regressions for every year for all those variables split up with all of their parameter estimates. We have a plot of SAT scores by year broken apart for the country. We have the overall. We have 2 box plots representing region and year changes. By switching the axes here, we have different plots. We also have an overall plot for region and SAT total. We have a split plot for math and verbal by region. We also have them double plotted, so right next to each other for math and verbal. So that was SpeedStats, and we've certainly been able to do a lot in 10 minutes with just the mouse and a couple clicks. So hope you enjoyed this, and look for more SpeedStats in the future.